It is Eagles talk. Eagles, Cowboys. Great game for us. We will go over and with the short turnaround, the Eagles Commanders game on Thursday. We will get into that as well. So join the conversation. Let's go.
You love the Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! You love the Philadelphia Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! Philadelphia!
It is Eagles Talk on A2D Radio. We are brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. We are live. It's your boy Chucks, it's Brinks, and it's PY. Gentlemen, what does that make? 5 in a row? 5 in a row now?
5 in a row.
Including a handling of the hated Cowboys. How are you all feeling today?
Much better.
Not much to complain about.
Yep, I agree. I agree, and we've got a really good one coming up this Thursday. So our poll question, as we get into it, we're gonna talk about that Thursday game just a little bit to start. The Eagles defense will hold the Commanders to under 20 points. Agree or disagree? PY.
Did we lose him?
We lost Chucks.
God damn it.
He's frozen. Well, go ahead, PY. You answer the poll question.
I think so. Like, I understand that Jayden Daniels has been playing very well. And I understand, like, everyone just wants to talk about him being an MVP candidate and things like that. But I'm like, these last 3 weeks, like, he's kind of fallen a little bit. He's come down to earth, you know. They should be 6-4 right now. Like the Commanders have been getting lucky break after lucky break, and the Eagles defense, this is a top 5 defense right now. You have shutdown corners, you have solid pass rush, you have A+ linebackers, you know, not to mention the fact that you have a top 5 offense, and they're one of the worst. The Commanders are one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. Like, I love this matchup. Like, I know a lot of people want to be scared, and they want to hype up Jayden Daniels, and they want to hype up Dan Quinn. Until it's proven otherwise, the Commanders are the Commanders. Like, I think they're a good team right now, but I also don't think they've played anyone to really set them apart to be like, oh man, we got to be afraid of these guys. Like, I think with the way the defense has been playing, with the way Jalen's been playing, with Saquon, with AJ, with Devontae, with Goddard, you know, I think we're going to win on Thursday. And I think with the way the defense is playing and how lights out we are right now and all the turnovers that we're creating right now, I think it's 100% likely that they hold them to under 20 points.
Am I good now? I kind of.
Yes. Yeah, you're good.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
Breaks. What do you think?
20. That's a tall task in today's.
It is a tall task. They've so far. The reason why I went off of that is because so far the Eagles defense on the season is allowing 17.9 points. So I'm like, all right, let's bump it up to 20. Can they keep them under that? So that's why I picked that number.
I mean, you do have to put context behind that statistic. I mean, it's been Deshaun Watson, it's been Daniel Jones, it's been Cooper Rush. So, like, these next 3 games for the Eagles, really as a whole, you got Washington, you got a mini bye, you're playing the Ravens there, and you're going on the road against the Rams, who are playing right now. Then I think you have another bye week with the Carolina Panthers coming in, and then I think you have the Steelers. I might be missing some games in there, but, like, this is the stretch. So, like, yeah, PY, you're right. The Commanders have gotten a lot of breaks, and they're 0-3 against teams over 500. But, you know, the Eagles looked great the last 5 weeks. Jalen didn't have a turnover until yesterday. He's playing great, but you have to put the 17.9. You have to put that in perspective. I'm not scared of the Commanders, but I'm also not going to sit here and say they're definitely going to win on Thursday. I don't know. They're more talented. I think if Brian Robinson misses the game, I think that's a big come up for the Eagles. I don't trust Austin Eckler or Jeremy Nicholson to give them the balance that they need against the talent that we have on defense. So, I mean, no. And these Thursday games, they're short weeks, and for the most part, they've been shootouts, probably because of the short week. And this is a division game. So I'm expecting a higher scoring game than maybe some fans are going to think. The over-under came out today at 48.5. I do think it's going to be close. So both teams are probably going to get at least 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that if the Commanders score over 20 points that the Eagles defense is bad. Like, this is going to be not only this game, but the next 2 after that. They're going to be really tested. And I think that if they do good on this 3-game stretch, then we can start puffing our chest out as fans and thinking beyond wild card weekend.
Yeah. This was a tough one for me. I think I'm going to disagree to the poll. When I looked at the Commanders' schedule, when they played a good defense, which the best defense they played, they played the Browns. They hung up 34, but we know the Browns' offense leaves like the defense out to dry. The Ravens have a really good run defense and a porous pass defense, but we know about their offense is potent. The Commanders scored 23 against them. So trying to look at the bar of that, like the Steelers have a good defense and the Commanders put up 27. So I think I'm going to disagree. I think they'll score, like you said, like Rob, like 21, 24-ish, or maybe around there. But I also think that I'm not a believer in the Commanders' defense. I think the Eagles' offense is going to, again, as long as they don't turn it over, I think they're going to score a lot of points. So I think this will be a high-scoring game. I do think it's going to be up to where near where you were saying, Brinks. I think it's going to be up to there. So some people in the chat, we got SJM. He's saying, "What up, fam? Eagles pulled the plug on Dallas' support in convincing fashion. Steelers had great success with their athletic linebackers blitzing Daniels, moving his pocket, and playing physical." That's a great point because Daniels really didn't have a lot of success on the ground himself. Like he wasn't. I forget what the exact stats were, but like he was held in check as a runner. So that was key. That was a huge advantage for the Steelers. Good job by them. So maybe that's something that Fangio is looking to emulate. Maybe not. We'll see. Brian Daly, he also says he's on the fence with the poll. I think the Commanders will be a challenge because they have a few good weapons. Only plus is Washington has to travel and Philly is already back. Yeah, we play at home.
Travel, I mean, just driving up the turnpike.
Yeah, driving up the turnpike. SJM says he disagrees with the poll. The Birds will give up 24, 27 at most. The recent uptick in turnovers will continue as long as they're plus 1 to 3 in the turnover margin, they'll beat Washington handily. And then John Adcock adds that he thinks we can hold them to under 25. So in the 20s. I think
they are averaging 24 a game over the last 3 weeks. So
yeah, I think it's around there. And I think the difference is going to be our offense. I think our offense is going to do a really good job, scoring against that defense. I know people have been saying that the Commanders' defense has been better in the past few weeks. Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop our offense as long as we don't turn the ball over. So I'm convinced of that. So we'll get into more of a preview later on. Jose also says, yeah, I can see 24-34, something like that. Yeah, I can see that as well. So we'll get to a little bit of a preview later on, but let's get into the game that we just saw. The Eagles beating the Cowboys pretty handily, even though it was a scare in the second quarter. So yeah, it was a scare in the second quarter. What's with the tone?
It's the sun. It was the sun.
Yeah, I know, but it was still a close
Being
game.
blinded.
It was 7-6.
Yeah, the Eagles didn't even. I don't even think the Eagles. They ended up winning 34-6, but like I don't think that it was. Like the defense was really good.
Yeah.
But
Yes, they were.
the first half was extremely choppy. It was a little sloppy.
Yeah.
And it was a game for a while. But
Yeah.
I was sitting there watching it, and the Eagles weren't looking that great. In no way was I ever the least bit concerned that a loss was in play.
Yeah.
Ever.
I wasn't concerned, but it was just like I was like, yo, this is like getting toward the end of the second quarter. It's just like, can we like get serious? You know what I mean?
It's the Jerry World shenanigans, man.
It's like you knew the only way you could keep the Cowboys in it was to turn the ball over, and so that's what we did. And so it's just like the longer you keep them in it, the more worrisome it does get, because it doesn't matter how bad an NFL team is. If you let them hang around, if you let a lesser talented team hang around for too long, they are going to make it a game. And I mean, we saw against the Jacksonville Jaguars, it came down right to the end. So I didn't want it to get to that. So that's why I said like it got pretty concerning in the second quarter. But I think that drive to end the half was a very, very crucial one. That was a big one because being able to score that right before the half to get some, a cushion up there, and then we get the ball. We got the ball first in the second half was huge. So I think that was a really good drive. But if you let me ask this question. You know what? Let me bring in Les because Les is here. Hey Les, how are you?
Hey, fellas. I was just taking a little nap there. Yeah.
Les, I'll have you answer the poll question in a bit, but I do want to touch on a little bit of we just got discussing the Eagles Cowboys game. So let me ask all of you this: do you with Jalen's 2 turnovers, in the second quarter, are you starting? Is that concern meter starting to get really high again, or do you chalk that up to, hey, it kind of happens, and I'm not overly worried? Les, you can go first.
Well, I was just watching the Miami LA Rams game, and I don't know if you guys are keeping track of this or not.
Yeah, I am.
They're turning it over like nothing I've ever seen, and that
hotcakes.
Well, last night's game when there were 7 interceptions.
Yes,
I
don't know.
5 picks and still wins.
With Jalen, the fumble bothered me. The interception didn't bother me so much. I understand all the arguments about, well, he had Calcaterra if he checked down, and
he didn't.
It was a little bit low, a little bit late, just a tiny bit late, but it was a hell of a play by the defensive back. You're going to get, if you throw that ball 10 times, you're going to get a touchdown, probably 7 or 8 of them.
Yep.
I mean, it was an incredible play by the defensive back, and Diggs
just knows him so well.
Yeah. So, but the fumble, I heard what Nick said afterward about, he was trying to start to put it away, but he didn't quite get it. But you got to have a little more awareness than that, I think. You have to be, and that's one thing he still struggles with. In that first half, there were several indications like that, not just the turnovers, but all those sacks where he would be dancing around the pocket thinking he can just stand there and shuffle around and nothing's going to happen. Eventually it does. I mean, you have to either throw it or get out of there. And I just don't – I'd like to see him a little more aware of what's going on around him. It's not a huge – I mean, I'm only mentioning this because you brought it up. I think overall he's playing pretty well, and he made some wonderful plays in that game. But, the second turnover was a little bit, of something that isn't resolved yet, I would say.
We have to see what he does against Washington. He's got 2 or 3 turnovers against Washington. Like, you're going to turn the ball over sometimes. Like, they weren't going to go the whole rest of the season without throwing an interception or
Right.
creating
Right.
a fumble, especially when he's a mobile quarterback. I'm with you, Les. Interceptions are going to happen. Sometimes defensive guys make good plays. Sometimes there's miscommunication. Sometimes you just miss a throw. He's got to chill on those fumbles. Like he really does.
Yeah.
I wish he would just be like when McNabb was a rookie, before Andy Reid really got a hold of him and taught him how to play quarterback. He would be 1 read, 2 read, run. I wish that's how Jalen Hurts would be all the time, because I think we have what we have in terms of his pocket presence, him being a pocket passer. Like, I don't think he's just going to come out next season or the season after that and just be a Peyton Manning field general like that. Like, this is what he is. He's got to use his arm strength with the deep ball, which is what he's really good at. He's not so good at throwing the ball over the middle of the field and these progressive 3, 4, 5 read throws. That's not his thing. And he's a tremendous athlete. He's strong and he's tough, and he can hurt you that way. So I think he's just gotta stop thinking so much and just go play. And I think he would turn the ball over way less.
PY, what do you think?
So the interception doesn't bother me. I was more annoyed the fact that they threw it on first down. I hate it because it never works out, and it usually is always a negative play. And I rather have you give me one. I'll take 1 yard on a run on first down than whatever happens on a first and 10 throw, unless it's a touchdown or like a big game, like because it feels like whenever they try and throw it on first down, like it always bites them in the butt. So I was annoyed about that. Not so much the throw. That was just really great anticipation by Diggs. Diggs knows him so well. Like I don't think anyone's in there knows his reads quite like Trayvon Diggs does. Obviously, he could have hit Calcaterra, but that would be something I would put on coaching and be like, they're going to clue in on Goddard. Like they know that they're going to target Goddard. Goddard shouldn't, in my opinion, if that was the concept, Goddard shouldn't have been the read. Calcaterra should have been the read. But once again, that's a coaching thing. The fumble.
Can I rebuttal real quick?
Go for it.
Calcaterra was not an option. He's not. There's no threat there with Calcaterra. The only reason why he looks so open is because Diggs comes off of it to make the interception. Calcaterra, the read there is the prop. That read there is the proper read on that play concept. The read's not the problem. It's a tad second late, and the ball is like a tiny bit underthrown. So if I want to nitpick, those are the two things that like could be better by Jalen. But the read is fine. But like everyone says, like I'm nitpicking, and it's overall it's just a great play by Diggs. So, but I just wanted to get it out there. Like I know a lot of fans, based on like snapshots and the broadcast view, saying like Calcaterra's open. He's really not. That's not the read, and he's only open because Diggs comes off him to make the pick. That's why. But go ahead, PY, continue.
Yeah, like the fumble, I don't love it, but like I understand people are like, oh, he's taking too many sacks. Like they were blitzing, they were doing everything they can to contain him. But once again, that's another coaching thing, in my opinion, to where I don't love him holding on to the ball. But as I don't understand whether it's Kellen Moore or whether it's Nick Sirianni, where you see he's having trouble. He's holding on to the ball and he's getting hit, and he's holding on to the ball because he's trying to make a play due to all the guys he's seeing. You should have been trying to simplify it a little bit and trying to get him some quick reads, anything in the flat, some screens, like whatever and which they did do later on in the game.
Eventually,
Eventually they did in the third quarter, but like when
it is so annoying to see the way they start games. I know this is off topic, but again, it was just until you got that drive going. And I think you guys were talking about this when I came on. Until you got that drive at the end of the first half, it was a really annoying, ridiculous mess. Yeah. Against a team that wasn't doing much other than Micah Parsons was running around a little bit because he was back, but you got to clean a lot of that up, I really think. And the offensive line really didn't have a good day yesterday at all. I didn't think running or passing. They talked today. Nick talked about Mailata practicing this week. Obviously, they're only practicing tomorrow. It's the only real day. It'd be tough to throw him back in there Thursday. But I think Fred has kind of reached his expiration date a little bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing Milotic if he's healthy. If he's healthy, give it a shot at this point.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm not overly concerned when it comes to Hurts. I think that to what PY said, I think that I agree that if it were up to me in that red zone, I wouldn't have passed it. Again, so it was a great play call, so it's kind of unfair and it's kind of unfair to say that too. I will admit, but I would have run it just because like you that's who your identity is, and when you're so close, like things get sped up in the passing game when it comes down to the red zone. So like it does make me nervous a little bit, but I'm not overly concerned about that turnover. It was more so like I was concerned in terms of the game. It's just like, and unless I said this before you came on, when it comes to a lesser talented team, the more you turn it over and the more you let them hang around, the more they're going to have a chance. So I was of the mindset of, hey, just don't make any mistakes early. Do what you do, have the game out of hand, and then you have an easy win. The fact that it was so close for so long, well, not so long, but like it was close for longer than I thought it should be, was what worried me. And I felt like the turnover really, after that turnover, that's when you saw. I don't know if I want to blame just the coaching or Hurts. Maybe it's a combination. But I mean, looking at the film, it was all like clear out vertical routes again, nothing over the middle, and that's why you saw Jalen really hang on to the ball a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there were maybe I think on so 5 sacks he had. There was maybe like 1 or maybe 2 where I felt like he really should have gotten rid of the ball like to a clear receiver. Other than that, everyone was open. It was just like the protection just broke down. Like I know we had early on Gainwell had a missed pass protection block that led to a sack. There was another one toward the end of the second quarter where it was just Hurts had Calcaterra open in the flat, and I want to see him eliminate if he's not going to attack downfield and take a shot downfield, get to your check down quicker, because I think it was like 3rd and 17. Like get to your check down quicker, dump it off to Calcaterra. Instead, he tried to run up the pocket and got tackled for a 0-yard gain. So like stuff like that. It's just like make it easier on Jalen from the coaches, and Jalen have a better internal clock to get rid of it. Because again, the blocking, like you said, Les, the blocking wasn't stellar in pass protection. The Cowboys did a lot of good stuff up front, to get pressure. So it's just like you kind of want to get out of it. And then in the third quarter, they cleaned stuff up a lot. Of
they were getting fooled a lot on pass pro. You mentioned that Gainwell play. I was looking at that today, and Landon Dickerson ends up blocking nobody because the guy he thought he was blocking didn't come, didn't rush. He dropped back, and so Dickerson's over there helping Fred Johnson while this pass rusher just flies in untouched on Gainwell, who weighs 112 pounds. It just wasn't a good. They got gamed a little bit up front, and they need to straighten that out.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Brian Pumper says, I see a lot of dudes open in the flats, but obviously the standard is not the standard when it comes to Jalen Hurts. I don't think that's fair, Brian. After watching the film, there were maybe a few where Jalen missed people in the flat. Like I just mentioned one, Calcaterra. But like a lot of the times we're on the broadcast view, you may think they're open, but they're really not. There's a defender lurking and has coverage on the defender on the player in the flat. So I don't think there really were a lot of plays where there was a guy open in the flat. So I would have to disagree with you on that. But thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Martian has another question. He asked us, Les and the panel, do you guys get nervous when we are in the red zone? I have this uneasy feeling when we're that close to scoring, either a turnover occurs or Nick gets in the way. What do you think, Les?
Yeah,
Sometimes.
I'm super nervous in the red zone. Unless they're so close, they can just do that tush push that works every time.
Yeah.
So,
They do run some
question
weird
is-
plays down there sometimes. I like to see teams take shots to the end zone in the red zone. It doesn't seem like you see that enough with the Eagles. You get a lot of fooling around. That wasn't the case yesterday, though. I didn't feel like. I mean, they had the one interception in the red zone, but other than that, I thought they played pretty clean in the red zone. It'll be interesting to see. They've got some games coming up that are going to be, better tests than yesterday. I guess my overall thing from yesterday was that it was like empty calories, that Cooper Rush was so bad and Dallas kind of gave up, and it was – it was wonderful for all the fans to see, them really kill Dallas like that. But I didn't take a whole lot out of the game as far as everybody's the most wonderful player that ever lived and they're the greatest team that was ever assembled or anything. I just didn't think it was much of a match. I'm glad, they're five in a row. That's great. Guys like Zach Bond and Nakobe and Jalen Carter are playing wonderfully, but I didn't think the game was, any sort of declaration that they're, other than the fact that they did take first place in the division. I didn't think they really declared themselves the equal of the Detroit Lions or anything like that.
I agree with that. We got, let's see, Mr. Wing does rebuttal also. He says Hurts has hit a few checkdowns. The majority of plays when he was getting sacks was slow developing plays with zero. That's
exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, Hurts has been better at hitting checkdowns to the running backs this season, and we saw another one where he hit Saquon, and Saquon made defenders look silly again.
That was amazing. I didn't think Saquon had much. I was ticked that he checked it down there because I didn't think Saquon had any chance of getting the first down. It was a third down play.
Yeah.
And Saquon just went invisible and got the first down.
Yeah,
I wanted him to score. The only way he's going to score a touchdown is if he breaks one, because then the next play
we went tush push after that. But yeah, he's that was crazy. It was Eric Kendricks, and I forget who the other defender was when they collided because of that. That's just insane burst. To be able to make that cut like that and to make two defenders just run into each other, it's insanity. It really is insanity. It's becoming becoming like normal every week. He makes a out of this world play that we can't believe. But that's Saquon. SJM says on a similar sentiment, Chuck, as you point out, Hurts has the ability to process reads quicker. However, at times he sticks to Brown and Smith reads to a fault because of their ability and support. I mean, he trusts them so much. So I do see the conundrum there. I was very glad to see him throw that back shoulder ball to Dotson. That's 2 weeks in a row now. Deep shots with Dotson.
But again, Dotson makes the one catch, and then it's like, oh, okay, you got your catch.
Yeah, you got your catch.
Johnny Wilson getting in the mix today.
There we go.
Yeah, Johnny Wilson.
Yeah.
I think with Dotson, I think we have to kind of he has to be just like our expectations in terms of opportunities are pretty much what was his name? The receiver you hated our Super Bowl year.
Aguilar, Torrey Smith,
Watkins. So he's like, what the amount of work that Watkins got in 2022, that's pretty much what we should be expecting out of Dotson. It's going to literally be like 2-3 plays a game where he's going to get targeted or get the ball. It's just a matter of, is he going to capitalize on those plays? And 2 weeks in a row, we saw him. So you got to
remember, there's only one football.
Yeah.
Yep. There's only you have AJ going to get his, Saquon's going to get his, Hurts is going to run for some of his. Like Goddard's
Yeah, in
back.
fact, other than AJ, nobody got very many targets yesterday.
No
Yeah.
one.
Because
No.
part of it was the starters leaving early, but
Yes.
you look at the stats and it's like nobody had more than 2 catches, I think, other
Yeah.
than AJ, and he had
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, third quarter we were running the ball a lot, so I mean it's going to happen. Like you said, Les, we pulled the starters in the fourth, and like, a lot of the reason why the offense just didn't have many long drives is, I want to transition over to the defense before we get to the Commanders game. Is defense just they did their job. I know it's Cooper Rush, I know it's a depleted Cowboys offense, but again, they could have. A bad defense would have found a way to make that close.
Yeah,
They did not make that
I
close.
agree.
They did their job, and I think it's also good. Like, it's a good confidence builder because when you play these bad teams, sometimes it helps you get into a groove. I mean, we saw Huff with a sack fumble. Bryce Huff getting a really good sack fumble.
How about that?
Yeah, so that's good. So kudos to the defense, deserves so much credit, and I think
A lot of snaps for Jalen Hunt, 25.
Yes, yeah.
There we go.
There you go. So I think we're starting to see a good rotation with the defense. Anything that on the defensive end that stood out to you guys that you wanted to mention?
Cooper
Solid
DeJean.
list.
Cooper DeJean is terrific. Just
Quinyon
a really
Mitchell
good,
is amazing.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean. I mean, it's not defense, but he also had that punt return where.
Yeah. Good point.
He didn't score, but like you don't see game changers like that in the special teams like we have with these.
I liked what I saw from.
Go ahead.
I liked what I saw from Bryce Huff. Like even if it was even limited, like he was over the field. He was all over the field when he was playing.
Yeah. I think the linebackers again are putting lights up. And two, we have to give Fangio credit for this as well. He after the Bucs game, I think during his press conference, they were asking him, how do you fix this? And he said, the primary thing is to tackle better. And I know some of us scoffed at it. I scoffed at it a little bit too because I'm like, there's other stuff other than just tackling.
Because it's like an obvious statement.
Yeah, it's obvious. But he was right. Like you see,
he was, but a lot of those missed tackles were guys running full speed into the secondary untouched, and somebody in the secondary trying to track them down. That's harder.
That's harder
than normal tackling. So they've kind of cleaned up a lot of that. I think the gaps and stuff.
No, that's a good point. So I mean, like you see how many times now do you see really an offensive player? Like how many times does our defensive players now miss tackles? It's not a lot. Like they're a lot more sound, and that makes a huge difference. So credit to the defense. Really credit to the defense. But I want to let that lead up to our poll question to get you to answer. The Eagles defense will hold the Commanders under 20 points. Agree or disagree?
Boy, at Thursday games are so tough. Neither team is at its best. I guess I'll agree, but these games are so weird. It's going to be real interesting. I've always liked McLaurin a whole lot. I've always thought he's a really tremendous receiver. He's never had a quarterback. Now he does. But I also think Daniels is, I wouldn't say coming back to earth a little bit, but he is a rookie quarterback. He's not the best quarterback in the league. It's amazing, that he's as good as he is. He's going to be great, but I do think teams are starting to get a little better, more film on him, a little better handle on how to defend him. He's got a rib thing he's being bothered by, I think, from a few weeks ago. So, I good chance that they'll do that. But this is going to be a really nice test at home. And everybody thinks, it'll be great they're at home, but they've actually played better on the road. They had a loss at home, and then they had the Jacksonville game where they damn near lost. And, I don't know that being at home is that wonderful for these guys, but I like I like where they are right now, certainly, and I'll say yes. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think PY also agreed, and Brinks and I disagreed. I do think it's gonna they'll probably close in around 21 to 24 is sort of the range I expected. But as we said, Brinks and I did also agree that just if the Commanders do score around that, it's not like the defense is going to be. We're not saying the defense is bad. It's it's a
Yeah.
good Commanders offense, and I think it'll be a high scoring affair. I think so. So the Martian also asks, Les in the panel, do we beat the Lions anywhere on God's green earth?
Well, if you can
No.
get Jared Goff to throw 5 interceptions, maybe. But
I think
that's a tough bunch.
it's a
really is.
tough. They're a tough team. I think where you have to get them is by, like you said, you have to get him to. Jared Goff can throw interceptions. You know what I mean? So, and not even just interceptions. Like you can get him off rhythm. How do you do that? Like you have to obviously, just like any other pure pocket quarterback, get him off schedule, get pressure in his face up the interior, which I believe we can. But I think a factor is also like the Lions are a little bit of a different team when they have to play outdoors. All right, so a lot of their games, and we documented this before the season, a lot of their games were indoors.
Yeah.
So if the Eagles have to meet the Lions in the playoffs, they're gonna kind of have to hope that it's at Philly. I know the Lions have the upper hand right now, but like
that's going to be hard to do given the record. The Lions should have lost last night. I was a little chapped about that pass interference because Terry and Arnold isn't good, and he definitely committed pass interference blatantly.
Yeah, Martian
would have set up the Texans for a go-ahead field goal. They probably could have run the clock way down. I think the Texans win if they get that call, but they didn't. And Detroit, boy, that's to overcome 5 interceptions is really something.
Yeah. And I think part of it also is with the Texans, they outside of Tank, like they're missing Nico because no one is really getting open, and
their offensive line is terrible.
It's
I
terrible.
thought they were going to make the Super Bowl this year before I saw their offensive line play.
Yeah.
You can't go. That's the one thing you can't go to the Super Bowl with is a bad offensive line. I've never seen it happen, and it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah, like the one team that I can recall that had a bad offensive line was the Bengals, but they didn't even win it either. Like they lost in the Super Bowl, and then they have an otherworldly quarterback and a guy, they had amazing wide receivers and Joe Mixon. So I mean, like,
right,
it's hard. It's very very difficult. With the Texans' O-line play has been worse than last year. Their play calling has been I like Bobby Slowick, but he hasn't been able to adjust. Like, there's no counter punch.
It was ridiculous last night. They had the whole first half. Every drive was a score, and then they never scored again.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the defense has adjusted. Now you have to figure. It's not like you're getting out talented there. You need to do so. You need to figure out something to get it going again. And they've had several games like that where they just stop scoring and never start again.
Yep. Yeah, it's like they really need Nico back, and I think that like they're so hung up on running it on first and second down, even though the run game really isn't good. So like I wish they would open it up more. If CJ Stroud is your best player, like open it up and let
him roll out and run or something.
Yeah, something. Open it up, but that's a conversation like for another time. But yeah, I hear you on the Texans. They let that one slip. Trying to get Greg Mo does mention Johnny Wilson. Yeah, because he's so tall. Johnny Wilson is more built than Blacksville Burst, but the size thing, definitely a red zone weapon. And
I think Johnny's strictly a red zone guy. I don't think he can run. I mean, maybe he can. Maybe I just haven't seen it. But
for a guy his size, he can run well. That's why I don't agree with him being a tight end. But like overall, he's primarily a red zone weapon. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, he was
No, it's fine.
yeah, he's fine.
Not like they drafted him 13th overall and can only use him 12 snaps a game or something like Jordan Davis.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Dubba says I do feel like league wide, the refs
Yes.
are letting DBs play way more aggressively than in years past. I mean, maybe, but maybe, and that's fine. I just the issue isn't aggressive play call for me; it's consistency. Like if
Yeah.
you're going to call more aggressive, be consistent in your calls. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Last before we our last topic here, predictions. It doesn't have to be score predictions, but predictions keys to the game for Thursday Eagles Commanders.
Yeah, Washington. I don't have a good handle on their defense, but their offense. It's really about Daniels. I mean, he's their leading rusher. I do think the Eagles ought to be able. Vic Fangio ought to be able to get some control there. It's interesting. Both teams lost really badly at Tampa Bay. The Eagles and the Commanders. The Commanders' only other loss was they lost to the Ravens and they lost, of course, yesterday at the very end to the Steelers. The teams they've beaten since they lost to the Ravens are like the Panthers, the Bears, the Giants, and the Bears thing was really luck. I mean, that was a Hail Mary that bounced off somebody and the guy catches it. It's a wonderful thing to watch over and over again, but it was luck, So I guess I like the Eagles. I mean, the sleigh ride's going to end at some point. The Eagles aren't an unstoppable juggernaut, but if they take care of business and don't turn the ball over, they should be able to win this. Maybe 24-18 or something like that. They did lose a really good defensive lineman in Payne for the season, and I think you can run on them a little bit if you're the Eagles. So yeah, I feel okay about it. I don't think their defensive backs are that great. They're not going to be able to play. They acquired Marshawn Lattimore, right? Was it them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
but
know.
He's not ready to play yet, right?
I don't. He sat
He
out.
didn't play. He didn't play his He had a hamstring thing, so he didn't play against the Steelers.
So I mean, if they have a really good Marshawn Lattimore Thursday night, it might be different. But if they don't, I think the Eagles ought to win this.
Yeah, I hear you. Briggs, any predictions or keys to the game for against the Commanders?
I mean, it could be okay. I think I'm mildly confident. I'm not. Washington's good. They don't scare me. This isn't some.
Yeah.
You're not playing the Lions,
right?
You're not playing one of these other the Chiefs or one of these other juggernauts. You're at home, and it's interesting because both teams are kind of have these streaks going where they kind of are beaten up on, not good quarterbacks, not good team. I mean, you just read the Washingtons. They're 0-3 against teams over 500. All their wins are against teams under 500, which you just outlined. You look at the Eagles' 5-game win streak. It's Cooper Rush. It's Daniel Jones. It's Deshaun Watson. Trevor Lawrence is adequate. I'm not a big fan of him, but he's adequate compared to the other names that I've. So,
and Joe Burrow, but
Joe Burrow. Yeah, they beat Joe Burrow. That's
their best game of the season so far. Yeah,
the Eagles at least have that win, even though the Bengals are under 500. They're not a good team. They have a good quarterback. But Washington's good. They're not great. The Eagles should be fine at home. As far as the score goes, I think the Eagles can get in the 30s on this team.
Okay.
31-27 maybe. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like the
Sacks and
high
turnovers are going to be the keys, but that's super cliche. That's what every game kind of comes down to. But they should be fine. They should be fine on Thursday. And you really need to win this game because I don't know. I mean, the Rams aren't looking too hot in this game on Monday Night Football, but they're healthy and they have a good quarterback and they have a coach and they got to go all the way out there to play that game.
Right.
And then you're going down
the Ravens.
You're going down to Baltimore. That's an absolute juggernaut offense. So it'd be nice to get this one against the division opponent to kind of give you some breathing room when the stretch gets.
Because you do have to play Washington again after this down there.
Yeah.
Down there,
that's
and
working,
you got the Steelers.
after
The Steelers are on the schedule.
Games. Yeah.
That won't be easy. They certainly look like contenders. So it'd be nice to get this one. And just
I don't know what to make of the Steelers. I've been really surprised by their whole deal. I thought they were going to be a bad team when the season started, and then they were winning games, but they weren't scoring any points with Fields.
Yep.
They made the quarterback switch, and suddenly they're scoring points with Russell Wilson.
They're doing well, yeah. They're doing well.
It's an odd
This
team.
is the Steelers. This is the Steelers every year.
Yeah.
This is the Steelers every
Boy,
year.
that George Pickens is good.
Yes, he is.
Good.
He is so good.
He's a head case times 10, but yes, he is very good.
So he's a Steelers wide receiver then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why Liberty and they're drafting an ridiculously good or short-term good wide receiver with an ego the size of Mount Everest.
Yep.
I feel like you need a big ego to be a good wide receiver.
Problem is
not always true, Devontae.
Considering AB and Le'Veon Bell how they turned out, like Mike Tomlin deserves Coach of the Year for this century. Like the way I was able to manage those personalities, that's insane.
Yeah, but this is what they do every year. They're going to make the wild card round, and then they're going to get smoked.
Yeah.
This is
you're right.
They do.
You're right. They're not going anywhere, but they're never bad.
They play the Steelers. They play the Steelers this Sunday. There's 3 great games this weekend, and then a bunch of duds. You got the ones on Thursday with us versus the Commanders. You have the Chiefs and the Bills, and you have the Steelers and the Ravens. Other than that, there's not much going on this weekend in the NFL.
Yeah.
Saints, Browns. Ugh.
Yeah.
Matt Pickens is absolutely a wide receiver one. I absolutely.
I think he is. Yes.
Yeah, he's absolutely a wide receiver one. No, but the Steelers are playing really well. I thought they were gonna. The frustrating thing about the Steelers, and we saw it happen against Commanders. The thing that bugs me is sometimes they play down to their competition.
Yeah.
And I thought they were gonna let yesterday's win slip. Like they made some just bad mistakes. Bad.
Well, Russ kind of, he's a lot better than he was in Denver, but he can throw a beautiful arcing touchdown pass, and then he can do something really bad. He's up and down, and their offensive line is also kind of like him. It's kind of there sometimes and not there sometimes. You like to see. It's always good to see Isaac Seumalo again, but some of those other guys are like, sometimes they're all right and sometimes they aren't.
And then, the guy, they're about to get the ball back with a chance to go win it, and the dope jumps off sides.
Yeah.
He was a rookie too. I forget his name.
That's why the Commanders are a good team and not a great team. Like the Commanders will probably be in the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to do anything when they get there. The Eagles are better. They're just
Ertz caught that ball right almost at the line, and the tackler did an amazing job of not letting him turn. I'm not sure that he didn't have the first down, but he didn't give him another inch. To get. Yeah.
It was so close. This was sorry, another tangent. I know this was an Eagles show, but what bothered me, I get so annoyed about some caller commentators where the one I get annoyed of the most is Chris Collinsworth, but Charles Davis, sometimes I just have no clue what he's talking. He caught that, and Charles Davis was acting like it was a bona fide clear cut first down. Charles Davis was like, "Oh yeah, he got it, first down."
No,
And they were showing
yeah.
the replay, and Charles Davis is like double downing, and like he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, that's a first down." And I'm like, "What are you looking at? Like, what is?" Sorry, it's just stuff that annoys me when with color commentators and analysts like that. That it's just like
That's a mute. That's a mute for me when I hear him on the.
Well, I was watching a lot of Red Zone yesterday because the Eagles didn't play until 4:25, and over and over again, you get these players who were in the league a generation ago, who are always sure that kicking the field goal or punting is the thing that the team is going to do on fourth down, and I'm like, no, they're not going to do that. It's like that part of it that has changed has just gone right over their heads. It's like they're going to go for it here. They're going to.
Oh my god! And they have like I don't get it. Like they go through these production meetings, and it's just like sometimes you're just listening to them talking. It's like what is the point of the production meeting if you're gonna say like stuff like this? It's just Chris Collinsworth is just he goes so over the top with some things, and he contradicts himself, and so he gets so many things wrong. And the fact that he's been on primetime games annoys me so much because they're so much better than Chris Collinsworth. But
have you seen that guy on Instagram that does the Chris Collinsworth and Tony Romo impression?
No,
yes.
I haven't.
So funny.
I'll have to send it to you. It's so great. It's so spot on.
Oh,
now here's a guy who's not Patrick Mahomes, so I don't care.
Yeah. Here's a guy.
Oh my god!
Do you know that Matt Stafford
if you squint, this guy really looks like Patrick Mahomes. But then if you stop squinting, he's not Patrick Mahomes. It's great.
That's pretty good. And Collinsworth gets wrapped up in these narratives, and the game is going on, and things are happening on the screen, and you're like, "Can we talk about the game?"
No, Les, we have to talk about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Oh my god! The last time I caught him contradicting himself, it's like, oh yeah, he was talking about how analytics shows that play action is useful even if you don't run the ball often or well, right? And then I swear to God, 5 minutes later, he says like, oh, even though he's not running well, Mixon's still making a difference with play action. He's still, and I'm like, you just said the total opposite like 5 minutes ago about running the ball. Like, it just it bothers me. He should not be on primetime. But anyway, I'll say that for an NFL show. Les, again, always a pleasure having you on.
Good to see you, fellas.
And we'll talk about another Eagles win, 6th straight next week.
It'll seem like it was a million years ago by next Monday, Thursday game. But I look forward to it. I know there's a big divergence of opinion. Obviously, most players really hate being banged up and not getting time to prepare. But it's also like you get a mini bye week after the game. And there are players that think that that's if you don't get killed on Thursday night, that you get away for a few days, and it's not so bad.
It's a nice mini bye. Yeah. I agree to that. All right, Les. We will talk.
All right, guys. Thank you again.
See you, Les.
Bye, Les.
Les Bowen on the Birds on Eagles Talk ATD Radio. Make sure you check him out on Twitter. He's always great. Gentlemen, anything left for the Eagles Commanders game you want to preview, or if there's anything from Week 10 in the league that you want to talk about?
As far as the Eagles Commander, we need something to get juiced about. Like we're 7-2. What are we now? 8-2? 7-2?
7-2, I think.
7-2 with the bye week. I feel like there's no juice. We need something to tip the scales so this fan base can get really
tip the scales. In what sense?
Like, well, I don't understand. What do we need to be juiced about? We're playing a division rival with a chance to secure a larger lead in the division. That's pretty juiced.
No, I mean, in what sense are you talking about juiced?
I don't think the fan base is fully invested in this football team yet because of what happened.
Oh, from that end. Like, you think, you think that Eagles fans are still...
They're apprehensive to buy in fully because of what happened.
I can understand that. Okay, that's what you mean. Yeah,
being one of them.
No, I understand that. I think reasonably so. It's because of the collapse last year. We went 10-1 and then we collapsed. Like, I think it's absolutely reasonable to have the PTSD from that. In a way, I also like. I'm scared, but like I think this team is just not. They don't have a lot of the flaws that last year's team did. You know what I mean? Um, and Pete does say very well said. Brings like fans are treading lightly, and I think that's absolutely understandable. I just I look if you look at the roster because like last year, especially with the defense, I like PY. I was on Birds of Feather all year saying like the talent on defense isn't there. Like we don't
Nope.
have. I'm less worried about the coaching, and I'm more worried
Shaq
about the lack
Leonard
of
is
talent.
teaching high school, is a high school football coach, okay? And we tried his ass out at linebacker
Oh
last year.
God, yeah. So and we had like what Bradley Roby at nickel. We had like it was there was so much lack of talent. There was or such a lack of talent on the defensive side. And on the offensive side, we we kept seeing like it's the same old over and over with schematically, and nothing was changing. So there were signs there. Whereas right now, you see things are evolving, and it's just different. So I'm not saying that the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, like guarantee it, but I think that the chances of us seeing another collapse like last year are I don't think that's going to happen. It's a matter of I think it's a matter of how far can this team go in the playoffs. I think that's what's that's
And
the thing.
then
I think we could be if we play to our best, we could win their Super Bowl. But we also have this thing where again, Sirianni is an issue. Turnovers are an issue. And if that stuff gets in the way, and knock on wood, always injuries are always a factor. If stuff like that happens, like we could also be one and done in the playoffs. So,
Yep.
we'll see. We'll see when the time
so
comes.
do you want to make fun of the Bears or the Jets to close the show?
Jets.
Jets because yeah, because
Can I go? Because
yeah, go ahead.
I've been waiting for like a year because everyone was just like, I still remember doing Birds of a Feather last year, and then just when Jake was still on, and Jake would just lose his crap at my disrespect of Aaron Rodgers. He's a top 10 quarterback. How can you not agree with me? But that's just people in general. They're like, you're disrespecting Rodgers. I'm like, no. He cares more. He was caring more about conspiracy theories and sitting in caves than like what's going on with this football team. You gave a franchise to a 41-year-old injury-prone quarterback who had not been consistently getting it done in the playoffs. You gave him all his players. You gave him his coaching demands. You gave him all this crap. And what do you have to show for it? Like it's literally one of the worst decisions the Jets have ever made. But like once again, the Jets are the Jets. This is who they are.
Just I think Matt Walsh says it. Jets are gonna jet. Yeah, I think it's. I think with the outside stuff doesn't bother me with Aaron Rodgers like it does with you. But what I will say is he's come a long way from being a great quarterback. Like he's too stubborn. If anyone doesn't think that he is in charge there in New York, like he is.
What he
He
says,
he
what he says
runs
on Pat McAfee, he's not all the time.
he's all the time. He
Yeah,
says
he's
he's
not in
not, but
charge. He doesn't have anything to do with it.
he he runs the offense he wants to run, which is very basic and vanilla. He trusts his guys. He has his offensive quarter that he knows will run the scheme he wants to run, and Aaron Rodgers just doesn't like. We've seen like what like 2 or 3 really good games from Aaron Rodgers this season, but it's so inconsistent. It's so inconsistent. So it's yeah, there and I don't know
They have
what
the same offensive stats through 10 weeks as they did with Zach Wilson last year.
it's so crazy. And they had Devontae Adams.
And
Wow.
like that game yesterday, I mean, the Cardinals are like, they're a good team. I put them kind of in like the Commanders category of everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just went out there and just laid down. And like if you the like a team with a not so great record looks like they're going to be in a wild card spot in the AFC. Like it's kind of weak there. So like if you go out there and beat the Cardinals after they beat the Texans, like maybe you can put something together down the stretch and get in. But then when you like paint yourself into a corner where every week matters for you to get back into the playoff picture, then you go out there and do that. Ugh, that was bad. And the Bears, they're stick a fork in them too, because everything we just said about the Jets, you can say about the Bears.
I think the Bears. I think with the Bears, you can pinpoint things where you can. There are things you can pinpoint where they can improve on. Not this year, but like I think that on defense they have players. I don't think the defense is a huge issue. So on the offense right now, Caleb Williams isn't. He's holding on to the ball too long. The offensive line sucks, and the Keenan Allen is a shell of himself, and the the scheme sucks. Like the play caller on offense just isn't like forget Shane Waldron. I don't know what he's doing.
Horrible.
He's horrible. I don't know what they're doing. And Matt Eberflus, he's not it. Like, I think did I mention it here with you guys before the season when they were doing the Hard Knock stuff with the Bears, like. You could tell with Eberflus the interactions he was having with Caleb. I was like, Eberflus ain't it, yo. Like Eberflus is not it. Eberflus was not it. So like, I don't believe in the coaching staff. I think if you get a new coaching staff next year, continue to build that O line, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. But like, yeah, I don't believe in that coaching staff. I think the coaching staff should be gone after this year. If they're not gone after this year, I'd be shocked. Yeah, and Pete, like you said, the reason why he was let go from Seattle, like it was so bad. It was so bad. The game I want to touch on was the game from Thursday, the Bengals Ravens. Are you kidding me? That was one of the best Thursday night games I've seen. That was crazy, and
I think
both quarterbacks played a good game.
Yeah, well, the Bengals borrowed Nick Sirianni for the night. And he 1,000% cost his football team the game with just some of the stupidest coaching decisions I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I don't disagree with them going for it on fourth at the end of the game.
The damage was done before that. I would do that too.
Okay, good. So we agree on that. Which ones are you talking about? Because I can't remember. I can't.
There was a third and 2 in the second. I think it was the second half. It was a long time ago.
Okay.
It's 3rd and 2. They threw a bomb. They didn't get it. It's 4th and 2. They throw another bomb.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They give the ball right back. They're up 21-7.
Yeah.
Field goals, punts. Like, you're good. Then our boy Chase Brown, right after we were texting about him, he fumbled, and they went right in with that. And then all of a sudden, like they dominated the whole game. There was other ones too, but like you got to kick field goals. When you're there in a game, like you have to take points. Yeah, it sucks that you're not going to get a touchdown every time, but you can't consistently keep points off the board and expect to win big time football games in this league.
I think it was egregious what you touched on. Like it was 3rd and 2 and then 4th and 2, and they took deep shots on both times. Like I could understand like if on 3rd and 2, if you feel like you have a shot and you want to take it, that's fine. But 4th and 2 to go with another low percentage throw, I that's where I'm like, yo, 2 straight downs where you just need 2 yards to become first down. You can't go deep shots back to back. I agree with you there. As don't get me wrong on this, I think Joe played a great game, but I don't know if this is just on Joe. It might be also on the coaching staff. But on the 2-point conversion, right? They have a look and they motion the one tight end out, right? And Jamar Chase is one-on-one in space by himself on the left-hand side. Why aren't you running a play? Why are you calling a timeout? If Jamar Chase is one-on-one, guys, isolated versus a corner, by himself, alone, like, that's the look you want. I right? Like, that's your number one receiver by himself, one-on-one versus I don't care what corner it is. It can be Quinton Mitchell. I don't care. Like, you have to go and call a play to him. And they call the timeout. They come back in. They still get a similar look. It isn't like the advantageous look that they had on the first one, but they still get a similar look where Jamar Chase is one-on-one on the left-hand side. Why are you not throwing to him? You're throwing to your backup tight end in a crucial gotta have it play. Like, I don't like, that's where you overthink things. And again, it might be on Joe. It might be on the coaching staff for the play they draw up. I don't know. But I don't care. Like, Joe, if you know your number one wide receiver who just set records or his own record for most passing receiving yards in a game, if he's one-on-one by himself, you got to throw to him. You live and die by your best player. So I found it egregious. But like, that was just a great game to watch back and forth. And here's a hot take. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the Bengals still make the playoffs, even though they're 4-6.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
them getting hot towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think they still make the playoffs. So I think
they're going to have to win games at some point.
Like, yeah, they're going to have to. They're absolutely going to have to. So, gentlemen, good show. We got one Thursday night, and that's going to be a really, really good one. I hope it's a great one, and we come out next week, same time, same place, talking about another Birds win. Thank you to our sponsors, Baggio's Bread. Again, make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. For myself, for Brinks, for PY, and all the rest of us at A2D Radio, thank you for all the support, for listening in, and we will see you same time again next week. Till then, go Birds. Peace out.